a performance from Niels Seals. What a performance from the Prague Lions, who go on a pick-up victory in Cannes, round 7 of Global Champions League. What impact does that have on the overall championship standings? Berlin finishing in 8th, Hamburg Giants down in 14th. Let's stand by and await to hear from your winners tonight. We want to hear from Peter de Vos. We want to hear from Niels Seals how they are feeling about this victory, and more importantly, what is the ambition then going forward throughout the rest of the season. Finished 6th in 2021 in the calendar year. How much has that changed, and why has it changed so drastically from 2021 to 2022? We will keep an eye on it all as the ground staff, as Uliana Vidzani gets back to work, as they begin to prepare not just for the podium ceremony, but of course for the LGCT Grand Prix of Cannes that is still to come later on tonight. We are busy miking up our winners. We are preparing to hear from the Prague Lions, who finish ahead of the Shanghai Swans in 2nd and Madrid in Motion in 3rd. A second stage win already for Saint-Tropez. And for Madrid in Motion, they too are collecting 4 out of 7 podiums already in 2022. What a difference from the team that finished 12th in 2021. They, much like Prague Lions, have improved drastically at the start of the season, and moving now into the halfway stage, they have been putting together some superb performances that continue to be delivered here on GCTV. Frustrating for the Berlin Eagles, who finish with a score of 14th. That puts them in 8th place. And we stand by and wait to hear from the Prague Lions to find out how they were feeling about that performance. How nervous was Niels Seals and Deluxe van TNL coming into the ring following that fall from Peter de Vos, knowing that he had to either be incredibly quick if a rail fell, or play it conservative, go for the clear, secure the clear, and secure the victory as well. An override score of clear became a second round score of just 4, and that was fast enough to give them victory. That was quick enough to give them victory in Cannes. And we'll stand by and hear from the riders, hear from Peter de Vos, hear from Niels Seals about their victory today and what this means for their season. Let's hear from them.
Niels, congratulations, 2nd win of the season for the Prague Lions. Do you think you guys are back in it for the overall season championship race now?
Okay, we are only halfway, but of course we are really happy with the performance of the whole team, and you can better stay in the lead than in the 10th place half season.
Peter, that was such a tough course. What made it so tricky today?
Yeah, it's a bit like every day here, but especially today was very, very delicate course, difficult lines, and then yeah, all very delicate fences till the very end, so you had to ride every fence really good to jump over it.
And Niels, with Peter's rail going down, did that change your game plan at all?
I knew I had to go clear, so at least I knew what I had to do, but my horse is in a very good shape, and I trust in him today.
Peter, a lot of teamwork, your under-25 rider, Brian, as well. Any thoughts about that?
I think we did a fantastic job with our team here by managing it very well. First day, Brian rode very, very good, and then Niels came in today with a very fresh horse, and of course a very good rider. So I think we did the good tactics to stand here on top of the podium.
Well done, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great performance from these two men. Great performance, in fact, as well from Brian Mowgry, as pointed out by Floss Bish-Jones. It was a team effort. Clear for Mowgry in round 1. And let's not forget that Peter de Vos was clear all weekend until that second round that saw him come in on 4. And unfortunately, it did not affect the rest of the teams that they were hoping that to see more rails fall. It did not. Niels Seals delivered a clear. It kept the Prague Lions on 4, and it made them champions of Cannes for 2022. We take a break. When we come back, we look at the sensational performances of Global Champions League Round 2 from Cannes. Welcome back to GCTV. There are your final standings of Cannes. Prague Lions champions for 2022. And what a weekend it was for Niels Bruinseels and Peter de Vos, finishing ahead of the Shanghai Swans and Madrid in Motion as the three podium teams now make their way inside the arena with their winning gowns on and will make their way onto the podium. The 2022 overall championship standings are starting to heat up, is starting to accelerate the heartbeat, and is starting to get even tighter than we imagined. We will give you a better understanding of how they look. However, I can tell you that there are just 7 points separating the top 4 teams. 7 points separating the top 4. That is how tight it is in 2022 as we make our way into the essentially halfway point of this year's season. 7 events down, essentially the halfway point before we move on to our next event, and just 7 points separating 1 until 4. Prague Lions have jumped up to 2nd place now and are just 2 points behind your current leaders, the Berlin Eagles. So, despite finishing in 8th place today, Berlin Eagles with a score of 14, they still hold on to the championship lead, but only by a fraction, 2 points clear of Prague Lions. Stockholm Hearts in 3rd on 128, and Madrid in Motion, following yet another podium thus far in 2022, stay in 4th place on 126. Here is Madrid in Motion, Eric and Michael van der Vleuten, 12th in 2021, and now putting a real shot at a top 4 in 2022. Father and son pairing, Eric clear in round 1, Michael clear in round 2, an overall score of 8 in a slightly slower time than these two men. Shanghai Swans, Christian Allman, solid gold, clear in round 1, clear in round 2, and Max Kuna jumping 4 and 4 over the weekend, but a fast 8 was enough to see them finish in 2nd place behind these men who did not need to bring in the conversation of time. Clear Peter de Vos in round 1, clear Brian Mowgry in round 1, clear Niels Bruinseels in round 2, and a 4 for Peter de Vos that may have made things interesting, but because of Bruinseels and the looks van TNL, his clear meant that the Prague Lions did not have to worry about time. They are the champions of 2022 for Cannes. Let's go down to the podium as Jan Tops, the president and founder of the Global Champions League, hands out the trophies and the medals to our top 3 competitors.
On poursuit avec le 2e prix. Et c'est M. François Sauvain qui va nous rejoindre dans quelques instants sur le podium. Président de l'Union sur le Festival de Cannes, qui a donc le plaisir de rendre les prix à la 2e équipe des Shanghai Swans. C'est Max Kühler. Et je pense qu'on prend encore une fois avec moi ces une certaine applaudissement s'il vous plaît. On en arrive au premier prix et le grand plaisir d'accueillir le partenaire de l'époque, M. Christophe Lantier, général manager du groupe Constance, qui va remettre les prix et également le très beau cadeau à l'équipe lauréate des Prague Lions, Peter de Vos et Niels Bruinseels. Et bien sûr, un système digital. On a donc un voucher pour une semaine. All inclusive. Pour une magnifique peine. Un service qui est offert à Peter de Vos et Niels Bruinseels. Un magnifique voyage qui les attend. On peut les accueillir pour ce second cadeau. Et nous allons également accueillir Franck Magaran aux couleurs Vinage à Cannes, qui va donc récompenser l'un des cavaliers avec un magnifique bijou. Je vous invite à rejoindre le podium et à offrir le bijou qui va donc être offert par l'un des cavaliers, essentiellement à son épouse. Et donc voilà, c'est un magnifique cadeau pour un jeu qui dans cette Global Champions League qui s'accorde les gagnants. pour M. Shanghai de rejoindre le parterre invité, juste devant le podium, et d'effectuer les photos nécessaires pour les nombreux médias.
Big smiles on the faces of Peter de Vos and Niels Bruynseels, understandably so, after being crowned champions in Cannes for 2022. And already a second stage victory for the team after winning in Saint-Tropez earlier on this year. So for a team that could not buy themselves a way onto the podium in 2021, to now have 2 victories already at the halfway stage of 2022, it has shown a significant improvement from the 2021 season. And what a performance it has been from all 3 of the riders this weekend, as we see Michael van der Vleuten make his way through the crowd. The Shanghai Swans having a word with Peter de Vos. And applause from the appreciative crowd in Cannes, enjoying the action that has taken place. And let's not forget that there is a lot more to happen in that arena. There is still an LGCT Grand Prix of Cannes still to follow tonight. There's a reason why we call it Super Saturday, is you get a double header of the GCL and the LGCT to come later on tonight, making for jam-packed viewing here on GCTV as the sun begins to set over the beautiful city of Cannes. We will allow our winners to ride into the sunset and then quickly begin to shift their attention from the Global Champions League to the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix. Let's not forget that Peter de Vos jumped clear on a 9-year-old in round 1. Nascar jumping clear in round 1, then making a change, perhaps somewhat of a more predictable change in round 2 as Claire came into the mix. And ironically, Claire having a fault, seeing him finish his weekend on 4, but Niels Bruynseels jumping clear and making sure that the team was able to be crowned champions for 2022 in Cannes. Now, as we continue to enjoy the winners' celebration, the winners' lap of honor currently taking place in the arena. Of course, these 2 men will enjoy this moment for quite some time. And the Prague Lions, the hosts of the GC playoffs at the end of the year, will be hoping that all of these championship points, all of these performances will strengthen their position to try and win a GCL Super Cup at the end of the year. Now, Madrid in motion, as we spoke about, 3rd place finish for them today, were incredibly good this afternoon. After Paris Panthers took the lead on 11 at the halfway point, we saw Berlin Eagles score 14, Saint-Tropez Pirates 17, and then an 8 from Madrid in motion. A clear from Eric van der Vleuten in round 1, a 4 from him in round 2. And then Michael van der Vleuten, despite having a 4 in round 1, him and Boval jumping exceptionally well in round 2, delivering a clear and a good time as well. That meant that their 8 gave them the provisional lead, and it was fast enough to see them work their way onto the podium. So, performance incredibly strong from Michael van der Vleuten. That clear proving to be very, very important and a good time as well. It gave them the provisional lead. As the events unfolded, they were unable to hold on to that provisional lead, but it was good enough to get them onto the podium. Who then followed? Well, Miami Celtics, we know, were another one of the teams that started from an overnight score of 4. Jessica Springsteen, clear in round 1, but had a fault in round 2. It took the team to 8 and put them under a bit of pressure. Anthony Condon, who had a score of 4 in round 1, knew that he had to try and keep it clear to keep the team somewhat competitive. And Anthony Condon did just that, delivered an important clear, kept the team on 8, and tried to keep them in the hunt as quickly and as best as possible. The Miami Celtics finishing on a score of 8. Appreciated and enjoyed. They could see what the clear meant for the team, how important it was for them. In the end, unfortunately, it was not fast enough to see them finish onto the podium just slightly behind. Madrid in Motion was their score of 8. But then what followed was then Stockholm Hearts powered by H&M, our pre-season favourites who've had a few wobbles and were looking to try and make a statement. Nicola Philippots and Moya van der Bisschop, their first clear of 2022 in round 1. And for Nicola Philippots, 1 clear quickly became 2 as he and Moya van der Bisschop, I beg your pardon, stayed double clear all weekend long. His brother Olivia Philippots in for Lily Atwood on H&M Legend of Love took a rail down that took Stockholm Hearts to a score of 8. So now Madrid in Motion on a score of 8. Miami Celtics on a score of 8. And that time from Stockholm Hearts powered by H&M was faster than Miami Celtics and originally moved them into second place provisionally. We caught up then with Stockholm Hearts powered by H&M and heard from Nicola Philippots following his round.
So Nicola, what's your first reaction on your round?
I think Moya, she jumped very good today. She hasn't been doing so many global tours yet, but she's in very good shape. She jumped good, and hopefully we can still have a nice placing with the Stockholm Hearts.
So Olivier had 4 falls. What did he say about it?
Well, I haven't talked to him. It's very unfortunate because normally she jumps a lot of rounds. Was a little touch on the planks, but she jumped well. Hopefully we can still have a good placing with the Stockholm Hearts today.
It looks really good for the Hearts. How are your expectations for the upcoming round?
Well, it's still quite long the season, so we have to plan very good to have every single show the best team and the best horses. I think we're on a good way, but the points are very close to all the other teams. So we have to plan very good and try to maybe get 1 or 2 more wins in the season.
Does that mean the level is really high this season?
Yeah, I think the level is very high like always, but the teams, I think they're very close to each other this year. There's not one team that jumps out like some of the years. I think we're going to see very nice sport this year, and we'll see.
Still claiming that it is a very long season ahead. Nicola Philippots, there's a lot of work for Stockholm Hearts powered by H&M to do to try and get back into that top spot, to try and reclaim that favourites tag that we gave them so easily at the start of the season. Well, after Stockholm Hearts came the Rome Gladiators, and they knew that a fast 8 was required to stay in contention. Shane Breen, after jumping clear in round 1, did not have a very easy second round because 1 fault quickly became 2 faults, and Shane Breen came home in a score of 8, taking the team already to a score of 12 and knocking them directly off the podium. There was nothing that Fernando Martinez Soma could do to try and keep them on the podium, but he did jump exceptionally well and at a very, very fast pace as well. 4 in round 1 for him, clear in round 2, but it took the Rome Gladiators to a score of 12, and they know that coming into the weekend in 7th place on the overall championship standings, that any championship points that could be collected today were going to be an important accessory for one of the new teams in 2022. FMS with a sensational round, a sensational clear, but it did not help with his team already being on a score of 12. Enter the Shanghai Swans, your runners-up of 2021, now looking to regain some ground on the overall championship standings. They are now up on the championship standings. They are in 6th place on 110 points thanks to a double clear from Christian Aumann and solid gold. Max Kuna making a horse change from round 1 to round 2 up to Jaco Blue coming in for the second round. And unfortunately for Max Kuna, a 4 in round 1, a 4 in round 2. They found themselves on a score of 8, but how fast was the 8 going to be? Well, it was quicker than Madrid in Motion, and at that time it then moved them into the provisional lead. They moved into 1st place with just 1 team to follow, the Prague Lions, and the Prague Lions knew that they needed to have a quick 8. They did have 2 rails in hand though, knowing that there were going to be 2 faults that they had in the back pocket. They knew that there was going to be a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of space for them to play with. So first out the gate, Peter de Vos, who jumped clear in round 1 on NASCAR, that 9-year-old babe. And unfortunately for Peter de Vos, putting a bit of pressure on his team and putting a bit of pressure on the overall championship as him and Claire came home in a score of 4. Stumbling ever so slightly in the combination. It meant that Niels Breinseels either had to go clear or had to be incredibly fast on his 4. But the 2021 LGCT Grand Prix champion of Doha needed no second invitation. He and the Lux Fontenelle jumped clear, kept the team on 4, and finished with a rail in hand. They didn't even need the additional rail. Prague Lions finishing top of the podium, and with that, they move up to second place on the overall championship standings. And if you think that performances like these are only felt by the rider in the ring, let's show you what Brian Mowgry was going through on the sidelines. Prague Lions teammate who jumped on Vive la Rêve in the first round, jumped clear in that first round, already in his individual kit, getting ready for the Grand Prix. And look at him living and breathing every single fence from his team members, Niels Bruynseels and Peter Vos. Eventually, they got over the line. He got over the line. And it was met with a very, very big round of applause from Brian Mowgry. He knows that he played a very big role in helping his team into first place, and eventually Niels Bruynseels and Peter Vos getting them over the line. Let's show you the tables, the top half first, and remind you as to how things finished. Prague Lions finishing the only team on 4, ahead of the Shanghai Swans on the fastest of the 8. Madrid in Motion rounding out the podium in 3rd, and Stockholm Hearts just slightly slower in 4th. Miami Celtics in 5th, and Paris Panthers, Rome Gladiators and the Berlin Eagles rounding up 6th, 7th and 8th. The final result from Cannes this weekend, as we get ready to prepare for Michael van der Vleuten standing by for us. Before we go there, the bottom half of the table quickly. Cannes Stars, your hosts, on 9th. New York Empire with a score of 20. Well, then take a look at the Hamburg Giants, at one stage pushing for a championship lead. Back-to-back failures for them with a score of 24. They finish in 14th. And unfortunately for them, losing serious ground on the overall standings. They now drop down to 5th on a score on 113. We'll give you the updated tables in a few moments' time. But as it stands now, Berlin Eagles still lead on 133, but Madrid in Motion in 4th on 126. We are joined by Michael van der Vleuten. Michael, congratulations today. Superb performance from you. 4 out of 7 podiums already in 2022. What has been the ingredient to this success?
Well, so far we have a great. So far we have very good results. I think that has to do with the consistency of the riders and the horses. It's very important that the riders have the right horses also to perform very well. And we have a very nice group of riders, owners, working together, and so far that all works out well.
Is that also the reason why this looks like a very different team to the team that finished 12th in 2021, Michael?
Sorry, one more time.
I was saying, Michael, the team finished 12th in 2021, but on paper it looks like the core of the team is the same. What has changed then to make this team succeed?
Okay, we have the quite similar riders, almost the same group of riders, and our team manager, my father Eric, and he's always very nice in communicating with the riders, listen what their feeling is with their horses, and like this we try to come to the best solution for every event to get the right team at that moment.
And Michael, you're up to 4th on the overall championship standings. There are just 7 points separating the top 4. What is the ambition for 2021? How high can Madrid in Motion go?
Yeah, as I said, I think we have the right riders and the right horses to come in the group from the top 3 teams, and that's what we're trying in all the globals which are following up. So yeah, we're looking forward to some more success.
All right, Michael van der Vleuten, congratulations today. Great performance from him. Clear on Beauville Z, and that clear proved to be good enough to help Madrid in Motion get onto the podium. Now, Hamburg Giants, we know, are in all sorts of trouble. There was an elimination in the previous round. And now with scores of 16 already, things started to get very, very messy for the team that at one stage seemed to be pressing for a championship lead. 16 overnight score, a clear from Bart Bless, but then unfortunately for Jere Freeling and Fiumicino van der Kale-Valet, it saw a score of 8, and that took the team to an overall score of 24. It sees them finish in 14th place. And because of that 14th place finish, they now move down to 5th on the overall championship standings on 113. What about your championship leaders, the Berlin Eagles? And they do still, by the way, lead the championship, albeit by just 2 points now. The Berlin Eagles coming out today for GCL round 2. Owen McMahon, following those 2 time faults in round 1, had a fence down in round 2. And Christian Kukuk and Checker, 4 in round 1. That became 4 in round 2, and it took the Berlin Eagles to a combined score of 14. And that 14 meant that they finished in 8th place. And however, despite finishing in 8th place, the Berlin Eagles might consider themselves a little bit fortunate, a little bit lucky, that despite finishing in 8th today, they do still hold on to the championship lead. They are on 133 points. And they lead by just 2. So how much longer can the Berlin Eagles hold on to that? We spoke to Owen McMahon following his performance. Let's hear it from the Berlin Eagles man.
What's your first reaction on a round for the Berlin Eagles?
Very happy actually with my round. I thought I had a really unlucky fence down. Just barely touched it. Everything else, she jumped really easy. And yeah, Christian had the first fence down, 2 cheap rails. Looks like we held our position from the first day. We'll pick up some points, but actually it was 2 really unlucky faults. We could have ended on today a score of 0 for today, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Right, Owen McMahon. Frustrated. You can visibly see the frustration on his face. Berlin Eagles not having a very strong performance in Cannes this weekend. They do, however, consider themselves perhaps slightly fortunate. They do still lead the overall championship standings. Let's bring up the tables and show you just how it looks. Because now Berlin Eagles, their lead is cut down to just 2. If you recall, their lead was 14, then their lead was 13, then their lead was 10. Well, it's now down to just 2. Prague Lions, a superb performance this weekend, jumping up with a second stage victory now to 2nd place on 133. Stockholm Hearts on 128. Madrid Emotion on 126. And if you do the mathematics, you will see that there is just 7 points separating the top 4 teams. 7 points separating the top 4. That is how tight it is in the fight for those top 4 places, for the fight for those GCL Super Cup semi-final places. Cannes Stars, the hosts, in 9th. London Knights, disappointing today, down to 12th. While Paris Panthers in 13. Only ahead of Miami Celtics, Istanbul Sultans, and the Scandinavian Vikings, who continue to struggle. We have a lot more still to follow tonight here on GCTV. Don't forget, part of Super Saturday's encouragement, part of Super Saturday's excitement, part of Super Saturday's happiness is the fact that we can move from the Global Champions League into the LGCT Grand Prix still to come. We still want to try and get a few more reactions for you before we wrap up and say goodbye to the Global Champions League. If I'm not mistaken, we have Max Kuhner standing by for us from the Shanghai Swans, and will give us some reaction to their 2nd place finish. Indeed. Max Kuhner, welcome and congratulations. Very, very solid today. 2nd place finish. There seems to be new life in the Shanghai Swans. How do you guys feel?
Yes, indeed. We had to catch up a little bit. Christian performed really good. I was also happy with my horse. Of course, we would have liked to win, but at least a podium place, 2nd place is also good. And yeah, now we start the race and catch up a little bit for the 2nd half of the season.
Now, Max, you're up to 6th place on the overall championship standings, 110. You're just 3 points behind the Hamburg Giants. Are you eyeing out that GCL Super Cup semi-final top 4 spot?
For sure we will. I think we have very good horse-rider combinations for the upcoming shows, and yeah, I have big hopes that we will catch up for the second part of the season.
And Max, how would you describe the form of Christian Aumann? Fantastic last weekend, a Grand Prix winner last weekend, double clear this weekend on solid gold. How would you describe your teammate?
Yeah, this is a team sport. It's very, very important to have good teammates. It's the one thing is the sport, of course, the good plan with the horses, and really also to focus on the team class, which is very important and has in the overall a high dotation. And but it's way more things we need when we work together. We need to have a good plan where we send our horses and riders, and everything has to be organized. And yeah, it's a big luck to have Christian in our team, and it's always a pleasure to ride with him together.
Well, best of luck for the second half of the season. Max Kuhner, Shanghai Swans finishing in second place today. More championship points. They now move up to fifth on the overall, or sixth, I beg your pardon, on the overall championship standings. They are just 3 points behind the Hamburg Giants. But the big story of the day, the big success of the day belongs to the Prague Lions, as we all felt like Brian Mowgry towards the end of that round from Niels Bruynseels and Deluxe Fontenelle. Living and breathing every single jump, every single moment of the Prague Lions, who go on to pick up their second stage victory after winning in Saint-Tropez earlier on this year, and now move up to second on the overall championship standings. Thank you for joining us here on GCTV. We say goodnight to the GCL and hello to the LGCT Grand Prix of Cannes. That's next here on GCTV.